Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. Let us pause and just enter a quiet space. Close your eyes and for a moment imagine a monk walking through a misty valley in the 12th century France. The air is cool. The sound of chanting rises softly from the abbey. And at the center of it all walks a man whose heart is aflame with love for God. That man is Bernard of Clairevaux. He was born in 1090 into a noble family in Burgundy. From youth he was drawn to prayer, silence, and to beauty that pointed beyond itself. When the world around him was busy with trade and politics, Bernard heard another call. The still, small voice of God inviting him to a deeper life. He responded with courage, entering the new Cistercian community. There he embraced simplicity, poverty, and the rhythm of prayer that would mark his entire life. Only a few years later, he founded the monastery of Clairevaux, the Clear Valley. What an apt name, for Bernard sought clarity of heart, the kind that comes when all that is secondary falls away and only love remains. From that valley, light spread across Europe, and monks came in their droves, not for an adventure, but for God. Bernard's holiness was contagious. His presence drew people as light draws a moth. Not to himself, but to the flame of divine love that burned within him. At the center of Bernard's spirituality was one simple truth. God is love, and the human soul was created to love in return. He did not speak of God as a concept or an argument, but as a presence, intimate, tender, transformative. In his sermon on the Song of Songs, he writes of the soul as the bride seeking her beloved. The union he describes is not sentimental, but profoundly real, the meeting of divine and human desire, where longing itself becomes prayer. For Bernard, contemplation was not an escape from the world, but a conversion of the heart. He often said that humility is the doorway to divine intimacy. The proud heart cannot see God, but the humble heart becomes transparent, like clear water reflecting the sky. In humility, love can flow freely, from God to us and through us to others. He taught the 4 degrees of love, which trace the soul's growth like steps of an interior pilgrimage. Firstly, loving ourselves for our own sake, where we all begin. Secondly, loving God for what He gives us. Gratitude. Thirdly, loving God for God's own sake. Pure adoration. And fourthly, loving ourselves and others for God's sake, seeing all creation through His eyes. These stages are not rungs to climb, but circles of grace we revisit again and again. They reveal a pattern of divine generosity. Love received, love returned, love shared. Bernard's own life mirrored that pattern. Though he longed for solitude, he was repeatedly called into the noise of the world. To advise popes, to reconcile conflicts, yet he never ceased to be a monk. His strength in action came from contemplation. His contemplation bore fruit in service. He reminds us that stillness and service are not opposites. The contemplative life is not withdrawal, but a way of seeing, a gaze that perceives God in all things. So what does Bernard say to us, centuries later, as we try to live contemplatively in a restless world? Perhaps he whispers, return to love. Return to love. Begin again in humility. Listen for the beloved in silence, and let every action spring from that hidden flame. To follow Bernard is to rediscover the rhythm of breathing with God, inhaling grace, exhaling love. It is to cultivate a heart that listens before speaking, that seeks before judging, and that rests before striving. He died in 1153. But his words still echo through the valleys of our hearts. He said, you will find more in the woods than in books. Trees and stones will teach you what you cannot learn from masters. In the end, Bernard's legacy is not his influence on kings or his writings, but the witness of a soul completely surrendered. His life tells us that true contemplation is not about extraordinary experiences, but about ordinary faithfulness, loving God in the quiet tasks of each day until love becomes our only language. So let us sit for a moment in silence. Let Bernard's voice fade and listen instead to the echo within us, the same divine longing that moved him. May we too be drawn into that clear valley of the heart, where all that remains is love. Amen.